halls of the Cleveland Museum of Art, where much of Helen's time was spent covering art exhibits of local, national, and international subject matter as art critic of the Cleveland Plain Dealer. I call her coverage the Cleveland School 2, or perhaps it is a continuation of the Cleveland School through the 20th century, as we continue the recording of a historical era of the Cleveland School 1. Those hot miles marked years of William Summer, Charles Burkfield, now long gone. Helen covered Clarence Carter in Bucks County, Paul Travis, Idris Eckhart, William and Lisa McVeigh, the outspoken Edward Wynne, doing huge experimental enamels, working nights using the furnaces of the Faro Enamel Company and turning his findings over to the company. Ed said his glazings could withstand a truck driving over them. Ed's examples of his work, often measured in yards, can be seen both in front and the back of St. Mary's Orthodox Church on Warren Road on the Cleveland's west side. Ed's wife, so opposite in demeanor, the sweet and talented Semiramis, Thelma Fraser Winter. Oh, there are so many. Helen and I, a photographer, covered the art beat together for 23 years. We worked closely, at least weekly, sometimes more often. Helen was a grad of the Willoughby High School and Western Reserve University with her bachelor's degree, graduating at the age of 20. Helen lived with Dr. Barkley and Ruth Leatham family as she attended the university, working as an assistant home aide to help pay for her tuition. Dr. Leatham chaired the theater program at Western Reserve. It was there Helen met Thomas Cullinun, where Tom was writing a play, The Warming Day of Spring, for Dr. Leatham. Tom and Helen would marry 20 years later. Meantime, Helen would receive her master's degree at the University of Missouri School of Journalism. On graduation, she began working in the Miami Herald and then 12 years for the Cleveland News before joining the Cleveland Plain Dealer in 1963 as art critic. Both Helen and Tom encouraged each other in their chosen professions. Tom, a playwright turned novelist, would author the best-selling novel, The Beguiled, a Civil War story of a Yankee soldier wounded in battle who was taken in by a matron of a Southern girls' school. Many intrigues take place in The Beguiled, soon to become a popular film with young Clint Eastwood in the starring role. Eastwood always said that The Beguiled was his favorite film. It was an era of great satisfaction for Tom and Helen, capped 4 years later by the arrival of their son, Thomas, the thrill of their lives. Conservative and bizarre, yet always they were warmed up by the easy period of the Museum of Art, the Museum of Art with William Milliken as museum director, curator, Henry Francis and Margaret Parkin in PR. Under the personable Dr. Sherman Lee with managers Bill Talbot and Beverly Barksdale, and Adele Silver in PR for 34 years was our direct contact. It was easy to become friends with the museum staff. Ed Henning, curator of the modern art, and Bill Ward, master designer of the exhibits, both specializing in art at West Tech High School. Many other prominent artists among them sculptor Clarence Van Duzer, also taught by Paul and Jean Hewlin, who according to the West Tech Alumni Association Hall of Fame had 284 students awarded 4-year college scholarships in 25 years. The Hewlins too were part of the foundation of the Cleveland 20th Century Cleveland School. Prominent West Tech art schools like Charles Surrey, son of a shoemaker, and with the West Tech all-scholastic football player, later first team All-American at Ohio State, and who for many years chaired the art department at Ohio State. Surrey is world acclaimed for inventing computer art. I'll look at the television commercials reveals his influence. Surrey's friend, Roy Lichtenstein, known internationally for his silkscreens, was a window designer at Halley Brothers department store near the Playhouse Square. Helen's titled art critic was soft, insightful interviewer, bringing forth encouragement to the artist to perhaps explain his or her work. Can this type of thing be explained? Can there really be a critic of original art? It is known God is the creator, yet the creation is extended to those in the arts. They start with basic materials and work from there. Perhaps art critics may be said to be interpreters, mixing in with the commentary of how the critic feels. Helen was particularly sensitive to the thoughts and even sometimes to the fact that the artist may have no particular purpose in mind at all. Paintings are made of vast variation of material, heavy oil on canvas, masonite, plywood, and other countless constructions. And then there are the metals and sculptors. There are creative potters like the Cleveland School Blood Conover, who constructed his large pots in many forms and shapes rather than a traditional throne pottery. His studio was his garage. Shirley Campbell here today, who's a huge, spectacular renderings of burlesque characters at the Roxy Theater, rated a 5-page spread in the Sunday magazine with Helen authoring. This was a commissioned 6-month project for Shirley. The notable character subject was Irma the Body, who proclaimed, "Only 2 famous people ever come from Paterson, New Jersey, me and Lou Costello." Yet a big, boisterous showgirl with a lonely life of show business, with long times away from home and hours boring waiting for between 2 to 4 shows a day, this big, blustering woman in her dressing room was captured serenely writing a letter home to mother. Like Shirley, many of our Cleveland school artists became our lifelong friends. A major factor in the Cleveland School Institute of Art, the teacher the world recognized sculptor Bill McVeigh has among his works a 9-foot Winston Churchill statue at the British Embassy in Washington, D.C. 1 foot is on the British soil, the other is on U.S. soil. Churchill's mother was American, and Lisa McVeigh, the marvelous potter. Who can forget the innovative spirit of world-acclaimed Victor Schreckenkost, who taught industrial arts whose diversity and modern industrial designs are incredible. Some of Vic's students became auto designers in Detroit. Cleveland artists made their way internationally. Richard Anaskevich, Mishkowski, and Julian Stancek, with one arm destroyed while being held in a Nazi concentration camp during the World War II, as was a world wonder. Julian did all these unbelievable, tedious, intricate, glorious op art color creations, laying strips of tape, then applying multiple layers of paint into each tape setting. You have to remember with one arm. Yet handicaps don't count. It is the art that will or will not be honored in the museum's Hall of Time. And then there are the heavy oil cartoonist, painter, Louis Boza, with whom we spent several happy days in 1720 home in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. The spirit of Louis is all through his paintings. Not to hurt anyone, Louis' work reveals humorous facial expression portraits of himself. The strangest story of an artist we came across was an opaque watercolorist, Kinley Sjogren. A Lakewood High School football player graduated in 1942. Kinley wanted to be a football coach. In a flight training of World War II, suddenly all the Air Force cadets were thrown into the infantry and rammed into the Battle of the Bulge in the winter of 1944. Kinley was at the Hurtubise Force, holding up 2 enemy divisions with his own 19th Infantry Division, and to keep 30,000 Germans occupied so that they wouldn't be going to the south to join the massive force moving forward in a major breakthrough at the south, already deep into France, the last-ditch drive-by Hitler with a force of 160,000 men. Sjogren was a leader of 10-man patrol and held the ground and probably never lost a man. The winter conditions were so bad that he had his feet frozen, disabling him. Then began a long healing process. The hospital in Parma for a year and a half after the war. He would suffer from the affliction of the rest of his life. Gilly's dream was playing football. College football and a career in coaching was out. He would have to do something else, using his hands. About unheard of, as a student showed distinct talent for acceptance, he decided to go to the Cleveland Institute of Art on a GI Bill to learn to be an artist. Sjogren would produce 1 to 2 paintings a week for 50 years, of all the type subject matter, meticulously executed, except there were never human portraits, just landscapes, barns, covered by bridges, farms, historic buildings and sailboats, and lake freighters. George Steinbrenner of the Lane American shipbuilding family was owner of the New York Yankees, was Sjogren's biggest patron. Sjogren's work appeals more to the common man rather than the interests of connoisseurs and art museums. Originals and prints of Sjogren's art can be found anywhere in Ohio. Helen interviewed famed artist Ismail Nagoshi as he assembled his big sculpture Portal, now installed in front of Cleveland City Hall. And there was the enlarged electric plug cube, a tongue-in-cheek pop art. We covered the installation all the way through by Claus Oldenburg at Oberlin College. The daughter of Castile, a major gallery owner in New York, had a Cleveland gallery. She could barely keep from bursting out laughing throughout the afternoon of Oldenburg seriously working on the setting. I found 2 samples of our combined work, both in full-page layouts for the State Department rather than her Sunday columns. Helen could entice you to attend a gallery or an exhibit with the lead of the first paragraph. An example, December 24th, 1970, Dateline, Findlay, Ohio. You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone in a visit to a picturesque white brick building at 231 West Hardin Street here. The first floor houses the offices of a personable dentist, John Spittler, and upstairs there is a tasteful art gallery, a serious professional art gallery run by his wife, Claire. Another Dateline Akron, April 29, 1971. Remember when museums were quiet? Art Institute sounds these days like a hill town in Italy on a Sunday with all the church bells clanging. Akron's clanging, however, was not church bells, but the clanging sounds of somebody experiencing aluminum walkway sculpture of the Venezuelan artist Jesus Rafael Soto. And now the church bells have rung for our dear Helen, calling her to the art scene only heaven can provide. Our joyful chatter is done for now, yet a lasting experience was one of beauty in the fall. A chilly day, we were in Helen's Volkswagen Bug, just swinging around the right from Route 2 freeway just past East 72nd Street onto Martin Luther King Boulevard. Beside us there, on the road, as we passed, was a small tree fully dressed in bright red leaves. And behold, in the still air, in unison, all the leaves let go at once, floating down like a red carpet blanket settling to the ground. It was as though their fingers were nipped, she said. You were poetry, Helen. We will always love you for your passionate love of the art and your gentle love for us. Thank you.